How are you? How's everything?
Baruch Hashem. How are you, Rabbi Scholar? Welcome.
Good to see you.
Welcome.
How's everything going?
Baruch Hashem, what's doing?
Yes, Baruch Hashem. There are very few people that I would take out a chunk of time during the day to speak to about things like this. It's usually your family.
I actually did not think it would actually happen. So thank you for joining.
My assistant couldn't believe I was doing this. You don't know Blanda. So even if I say no, he's going to do it anyway. What's the difference?
No, I'm not like that anymore.
Okay.
So let's start. Where did you grow up? Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Westbury, Long Island. My father was a Rav in Westbury, Long Island. I went to Yeshiva Torah Moshe in Queens, and then I went on to Chaim High School, also in Queens. Then I went to Eretz Yisrael and I lived in many different places. And then I came back to Mir Yeshiva in Brooklyn, and that's where I spent most of my post-high school years. I had a Rebbe in high school. His name was Rabbi Gavril Ginsburg, who was actually one of the great architects of Torah in America. He was the one that created the seed program and a lot of different other things. He was a unique person. Not only was he the Menal and the Sifter of Chavetz Chaim, then he went on to become the Rosh Koil on the West Side Koil. He was very close to Rabbi Nosson Wachfeigel, and we helped him execute his plan of community koilim throughout America. And then he became the Rosh Yeshiva in Israel in Toronto, and so we were very, very close. He was a very, very significant influence of my life. And of course, the Rosh Yeshivas in the era taught me everything I am. So I am a proud product of Mir Yeshiva. I am a proud Talmid of Reb Shmuel Berenbaum. I don't know if he considers me a Talmid, but I consider him a Rebbe. And Baruch Hashem, I am who I am.
So I didn't know that you grew up in Westbury, Long Island. Someone told me that you're a Yena Chassid. So
I became a Yena Chassid much later. When there were obviously there were a lot of years between Mir Yeshiva getting married. I was a Rav of a shul for many years. I was a Rebbe in high schools. So there was a whole bunch of years between my getting married, right, and the beginning of Chai Lifeline. It was probably 12, 13 years. Something like that. At the very onset of Chai Lifeline, when you want to create an organization that was really something unique and different.
What made you decide to start Chai Lifeline?
Well, firstly, the initial need of Chai Lifeline, I should say the initial need of Camp Simcha, that's really where it started from, was created by a person by the name of Rabbi Pinchas Horowitz. He was the Chuster Rebbe, he was the son of the Boston Rebbe, and he had this idea. Him and I met literally after by the founding of Camp Simcha. How we met is really not important, but I was a Rav of a shul on Avenue P in East 4th, and he was giving Sherim on the Avenue P. So as the local Rav and as he being the Rav Machla, we had a lot of interaction. And we had, I was involved with someone in the community who had a sick child. Illness in those days in our community was shunned upon. People helped. Chai Lifeline didn't create Chesed. Chesed was created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Olam Chesed Yiboneh, And we definitely didn't create Bika Chaylim. Avraham Avinu created Bika Chaylim. So
100%.
it wasn't us. What we did was we professionalized it. We brought it into the real world, and we created a whole different model that didn't exist before. We actually changed the way how people look at sick people. We took them out of the closet. We made them, and we told the world they're not different. They're the same. They just have a medical situation. This situation doesn't make somebody different. It's they're not a mitzvah. They're not yashin bada. We don't have to remove them from the machina. They're part of the machina. They're part of the machina.
Right.
They're part of the machina. So the same way somebody has someone has asthma, someone has whatever, something else. It's so that was a kind of a very, very new thing for the Jewish community. It was actually it was a new thing for the overall American community also.
For the whole world also, because it's something that it wasn't talked about really, like
Correct.
it wasn't talked about in the whole world. So like opening an organization like Chai Lifeline, bringing it out and telling the world like there's other people that should be included, even though they have illnesses and stuff like that. That's like major.
We even went a step further than that. We didn't say they're other people. We said they're our people.
Right.
We said they're members of the family.
Correct.
We said that, so Chai Lifeline took it a step further. They're not others. They're us.
Right. They're us. They're part of one big family.
That's right. And if you have a family member that's allergic to nuts, I don't think anyone's going to serve a nut pie, a pecan pie at Shabbos. Someone's allergic to nuts, because he's a member of our family. The same thing is true with others. They're a member of our family, and okay, they just need something different. A person needs a wheelchair. It's not because he's different, because that's his mode of transportation. So you get from point A to point B. Some people walk, some people hop, some people take an e-bike, some people take a wheelchair.
Whatever they need. That's what they do.
That's what Chai Lifeline really did. So at the very beginning over there, so he had this idea of a camp for children with cancer. It was his idea, nobody else's idea. And I had this experience with somebody in my shul, whatever that was going on at that moment. Right. And that's how we kind of joined forces. Mm-hmm. And when I got my feet wet in it, I saw that this was a chidush that could probably change the world. And we were partners together for the first couple of years, and then we went our own way. So the original idea of Camp Simcha was his.
What year did Chai Lifeline start, and what year did Camp Simcha start?
86 or 89, I'm not sure exactly. Camp Simcha started the same year as Chai Lifeline. First Camp Simcha started, and then Chai Lifeline followed right afterwards.
Okay.
So Chai Lifeline was basically my baby, and then then when Camp Simcha, then we began to build Chai Lifeline. Then we began to build Camp Simcha, and then from that went then we began to build a concept of services, of year-round services. Then we began to expand to illnesses beyond cancer. Then we opened up Camp Special. Then we opened up a crisis intervention department. And these were huge innovations.
Stepping stones, innovations.
We broke the model. Our crisis intervention team took mental health and allowed people and allowed all types of Jews, Chassidisha, Yeshivisha, non-observant, to be able to feel comfortable with a interventionist, because our idea was not that we have a mental health professional.
Right.
Our idea was that we're going to train one of yours in basic mental health. In other words, kind of like Hatzalah. Hatzalah
Right.
changes trains EMT, and then there are paramedics, and then you got to go to the hospital, right? So there are different stages. But
Right.
the first response is a dedicated volunteer that gets trained. So that's what we did, and changed the world. It literally changed the world. And with great siyata d'shmaya. So you're asking how I became a Biyana Chassid, because initially when Chai Lifeline began, we needed a Rav. Obviously, how do you have a Jewish organization without a Rav? So I used to fly every month to speak to Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Every month.
In Eretz Yisrael.
Every month. And you need a Rebbe because you need chizuk. So I used to go to Reb Hershel speaker in Williamsburg.
Okay.
That Purim, Reb Shlomo Zalman, around Purim time, Reb Shlomo Zalman was nifter. So I immediately went to Reb David Feinstein, and he became the Rebbe of Chai Lifeline. Literally from the week after Reb Shlomo Zalman was nifter. I don't know, it was 30 years ago, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
And that summer, the Hershel speaker died. So
Wow.
anyway, so what happened was, I went to Eretz Yisrael that summer. For at that time we did have a small branch in Israel, but I went there more for personal reasons. There was something going on in my family, and I went there. And what's interesting is I always stayed, those days I stayed in the Ramada Renaissance. And this time, there was no room in Ramada, I stayed in the Plaza Hotel. Right?
Okay.
So anyway, so the Reb Specia Hershel Zechariah Levracha and the gentleman by the name of Neil Rothenberg always wanted me to go see the Biyana Rebbe. Reb Specia was his father-in-law, Biyana's father-in-law, and Neil Rothenberg was like a big chassid. And I never really wanted to see him because I was busy with Hershel Spink. He was not whatever he's younger than me. Anyway, I come downstairs in the Plaza Hotel, and I see them. They come over to me and said, "No, you want to see the Rebbe?" I had this problem on my head. I said, "Look, I'm only here for a day and a half, 2 days. If you could get me an appointment between this and this time, I'm in."
Okay.
Going to see the work, 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. So I get a phone call back 2 hours later. Yeah, come to the Biyana Klois. That's where the Rebbe is at this time. The first time I walk in, I speak to the Rebbe. We spoke for an hour and a half.
Wow.
An hour and a half. When he got up, he walked me out, which was a big comment. He walked me out, and I walked out, and I said to myself, I don't know about holy Jews, not holy Jews. I don't know about smart Jews and not smart Jews. I've spoken to a lot of smart people and holy people in my life. I've never spoken to anybody in my life that feels for another Jew like the Biyana Rebbe.
Wow.
I was hooked, and and that's I was hooked, and now he's a very big Rebbe, and it's a lot of people go to see him, and whatever. And Baruch Hashem, I'm close to other people also, so that's how we developed a relationship. And both of them, Reb David Feinstein, Hamta ben Chaim L'Chaim, and the Biyana Rebbe, were guides to us, and still are guides to us, about the direction of how Chai Lifeline should go. Because we never ever made a major move here without their consultation. And I got some news for you. Every time they said to me, well, I think you should do this, but do what you want, right? They didn't tell me exactly. Sometimes they told me this.
Right.
And sometimes they kind of left it up to me. And I made a decision that was different than their decision. Failed.
Wow.
Failed.
Wow. Wow.
So Das Torah is an incredibly important part of running a Jewish organization. And we were privileged, we were privileged to have, and are privileged to have such close relationships. And Baruch Hashem, what you see today, the phenomenon of Chai Lifeline today, has changed the perspective of the Jewish community on illness, on disability. It has
Right.
Baruch Hashem even gave birth to other organizations that do different things for other populations, or even our same population, give them a different dimension. It has inspired thousands of men and women who are counselors in Camp Simcha, campers in Camp Simcha, to do good things for the Jewish community, to direct a direct result. So we can proudly say that we have created a revolution in the Jewish community that is doing exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do. That's obviously Yisrael.
Right. How did Rabbi Scholar get to Rabbi Booth? Through Reb David Feinstein or through Reb Moshe? Is that so?
No. I used to go down to Reb David literally every week with a whole bunch of shilas.
Okay.
Take the F train straight down there. And I said to Reb David, I think it's time already that we have a Rav. We need a Rav. So, to come into the office, whatever, and the organization was getting big, and people were calling me, and I had to go down there, and some people didn't want to call me. So I do a lot of shilas that were not being asked properly, and a lot of times the shilas were not being responded to efficiently because I wasn't able to get down there right away. So Reb David immediately hired Rabbi Bluth. He said, "Why don't you speak to Rabbi Bluth?" So fine, I went down. I went down that Friday to Kensington, and I went into his shul in Kensington. He was sitting there. And he said, "Okay." So David said to me that I'm the Rav right now. It was done already. It wasn't a done deal. It was no interview. He was interviewing me. But it was the greatest thing in the world because Rabbi Bluth, who was sorely missed here, was a person that was not just the Rav of Chai Lifeline, he was the Rav of many employees here because of his relationship to Chai Lifeline. Many people are very close to him. And he was a Pesach par excellence. He wasn't afraid to paskin a shaila. He had broad shoulders. He Talmud of Ramosha, Talmud Muvagov of Ramosha, and he's sorely missed. And sorely missed.
How long was he the Rav of Chai Lifeline?
Over 20 years for sure.
Wow.
Over 20 years for sure.
He is sorely missed.
Yeah. But how long has he gone already? 3 years?
It's more.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like 4 or 5 years. For sure 4 years. I think. Yeah.
So probably close to 20 years.
Wow. And he came into the office every other week.
So initially he came in every week. Then when he started getting a little ill, he came in every other week, and then he just didn't come in. You probably remember him. He had different stages. When he was fast and healthy, and always happy.
Unfortunately, but he was always happy.
Yeah, and then he got sick. Then he got sick, and I was the last person in this world he spoke to.
Wow.
I was speaking to him about a shiloh or whatever, and he said, "Simcha, they're coming to take me away for the procedure," and he never got out of the procedure.
What was Rabbi Scholar's relationship with Shlomo Zachman? Is that so?
Shlomo Zachman was my brother and my partner, my mentor, my friend, my inspiration. Shlomo Zachman, and there were one or two. There were others, but others like Shlomo Absalom and other people like that. But Shlomo Zachman was one of the greatest assets of the growth of this organization. He believed in it. He worked for it. He supported it. He respected it. Yeah. Shlomo was Shlomo Zakheim was probably one of the greatest Balei Chasadim of his generation. I don't think
the Gadol Adar in Chesed.
yes, one of the Gedolei Hadar in Chesed for sure, and I don't think anyone will ever know all the stuff he did.
No.
No. But he was a special person. He was a special person, and he did it with such discretion and with such humility, and with such humbleness. I remember seeing him by the Siyum Hashas. Now, Shlomo was a very significant businessman. He
Right.
what was his role by the Siyum Hashas? The first one, I think, in that stadium, the Shea Stadium over there, I don't know what it was called in those days. But not the last one, the one before that, and one that was in the summer. So what was his?
MetLife Stadium.
Was it MetLife? No, yeah,
Yeah,
I think the one before MetLife. I'm not sure, but
okay.
could be, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shlomo Zakheim wasn't sitting in the box seats where he belonged. Wasn't sitting with all the cheshuvim where he belonged. Shlomo Zakheim was wearing a Hatzalah jacket, wheeling in Matas Yoel Solomon, and staying by him. That was Shlomo Zakheim. No one would ever know it was Simcha.
Yeah.
Shlomo Zakheim was Shlomo Zakheim. To him, he was just a regular man.
Right.
Where essence, everything was his. He was the architect of the whole medical program. He was everything. He was involved with so many of the kids in a very, very positive way. He was just a special person. And then we miss him. We miss him. We really miss him. And for that matter, you had Shlomo Apsfeld, who was also, different than Shlomo Zakheim, but a huge believer of Chai Lifeline, a huge supporter of Simcha Special. If it wasn't for his support, there wouldn't be no Simcha Special. He believed in it, and these were special individuals that each in their own way were gedolim.
Right.
If you would say that.
How did you get to Shlomo Apsfeld?
Shlomo Apsfeld, Shlomo Zakheim.
Shlomo Apsfeld.
Shlomo Apsfeld was a good friend of many years ago. He was a good friend of somebody who was involved here, Shlomo Maya.
And what made you decide to start Simcha Special?
What made us decide to start Simcha Special was a story that happened on Avenue J in Brooklyn, New York. We always were involved with the clients that were in the hospital, that would call the special population, and they had all the services that we have here for the cancer population. They had there also. We just didn't have a camp.
Okay.
Rivka Reichman, who's the associate director, was very involved with that population, and she was always strongly advocated for a camp, but nobody really wanted to do it because of the huge expense and whatever. Just the unknown.
Right.
What happened at AVJ was a woman was wheeling her disabled child. I don't remember it was a son or a daughter, and the woman wanted to buy a pair of shoes for her kid or somebody else's kid, or the child in a wheelchair, or some other, some other one of her children. I'm not sure. So she goes in to the store. The store doesn't exist anymore.
I'm sure not. A lot of stores on Avenue J don't exist anymore.
No, but this particular store that does not exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So backs into the store, and the salesman or the owner of the store says, "What are you doing?" "What do you mean? I need to buy a pair of shoes." So didn't you look at the sign? So, what sign? What are you talking about? The sign says no strollers or carriages in the store. And the mother looks at me, crazy? Like, this is my child in a stroller. Kid can't walk. I'm sorry, a rule is a rule.
Wow.
They asked the parents to leave. So when that happened, I said, we have to stop it. We have to change the way the world perceives these people. And we initially called the Camp Simcha Special. It was purely marketing. It probably wasn't, in the long term, it probably wasn't the best idea. Because we knew Camp Simcha carried a lot of recognition, and parents trusted Camp Simcha.
Right.
We wanted parents to trust us for Camp Simcha, for that special population. So we said we'll keep the name Camp Simcha, just add the special, so we had the trust. But the truth of the matter is that Camp Simcha Special should really be the cancer camp, because you make the kids in Camp Simcha with cancer special, and the kids in special you make them into regular kids, so that should be called Camp
Correct.
Simcha. But that's just what happened. And once the name was posted. Now we couldn't get counselors in the first 2 or 3 years. Nobody wanted to become a counselor. My own daughter became the division head. She was from the initial group of girls. And my own daughter's wedding, who got married that year, was almost like the first wedding in our community, where there were so many girls that came in wheelchairs, whatever, which is now standard, in a lot of weddings, Baruch Hashem. They come and they were dancing. Nobody ever saw a thing like that.
Wow.
So, and Baruch Hashem, listen, look what happened.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, if we would have double the space, we could have double the amount of kids.
Wow. What year did Girls Special start? Because I remember Boys Special started in 01, but I don't remember Girls Special starting in 01 as well.
Yeah, it started the year of the fire. So when was the fire? The year of the fire
was 01.
So that's when it started. It started Boys and Girls.
Boys and Girls started together, meaning separate.
Separate, right. Started together, right. But it was short. It was a couple days only. It
was 1 week. 1 week, Rabbi Scholar. It was amazing.
Nobody knew what we were getting ourselves into. Nobody.
Exactly.
Nobody knew. But it, Baruch Hashem, it grew. And Shlomo was a critical player in really developing the proper medical procedures. But nobody knew what we were getting. Nobody. Not me, not the doctors. Nobody knew what we were getting ourselves into. Nobody. But we took the plunge, and Baruch Hashem, another thing that really changed the world, and it's much more sophisticated now than it was in 01. Today the medical center today that we have up there that we just expanded actually, because of the Silver family, wonderful people, is one of the most
unique buildings in camp.
And it's one of the most sophisticated medical facilities in the entire Sullivan or Ulster County.
Wow.
There's no need whatsoever for a child or anyone to go into an emergency room, okay? Because we have everything there. The only thing we don't have is X-ray or MRI equipment. So that's what would have to go in. But that's for actual medical care.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right. So.
I just want to interrupt Rabbi Scholar, because I don't know if Rabbi Scholar remembers, but in 01, right after the fire, camp started, Simcha Special, and I was the first one there. And me, I'm not going to age myself right now, but I walked around with Rabbi Scholar around the caution tape of where the fire was. And I said, so what's going to be like? How much? What's your plan? Like, okay, we're going to build a dining room, whatever. So I asked Rabbi Scholar, how much money do you need? See, Rabbi Scholar said, $1 million.
Yeah, right.
And then Rabbi Scholar said, right after that, he's like, can you help me? I said, no. I was a little kid.
I think it cost 5 times that, by the way. Baruch Hashem. It was a Baruch Hashem. You know something that the only thing that we lost from that fire was a dining room and supplies, and no human beings. It was really
Right.
It
It's
was
Baruch Hashem, amazing. That,
and,
but that fire turned into something big because you got to.
Baruch Hashem. Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah.
There's not been a single struggle in this organization that we went through or that are going through that we haven't grown from. And we will continue to grow with Siyata Deshmaya.
What's Rabbi Scholar's plans for camp going forward?
Look, the plan, it's an interesting question. This year we're not building anything major. Last year we built this new outside facility, magnificent outside facility. This year we're not building anything major, but we have to refurbish and upgrade a lot of things. The camp is aging a little bit. We also have to build, believe it or not, we have to build a part for staff, married staff, because we have a lot of staff that stays there a whole summer, and in order for us to expand the actual child part of the camp, we need to have staff that's stable there. And we use the facility, many times during the year for weekends.
Right.
We don't use hotels anymore. We use the camp.
Wow.
So
everything goes up to camp.
Right. So the more that we can expand the camp, we'll need it for the summer, and we'll be able to use it for during the year also. So that's what we're up to right now. There's so many programs going on over here, that
What are the other programs within Chai Lifeline besides the crisis intervention and all that? What other programs?
Crisis intervention, obviously the camps. There's case management. There's a couple thousand clients in the case management. Right. There's advocacy. There's financial help. There's food. There's transportation. There's volunteer programs. There are programs for siblings. There are programs for the parents. There's lectures for the hospitals, cultural sensitivity. There's a lot of things going on here, and it's going on in 14 different offices throughout the world. So it's not just happening.
That's amazing.
It's happening all over the place, and some very, very active regions. And different parts of the community. The New Jersey region of Chai Lifeline is almost as big as New York. So it's not as big already. You know what I mean? But Klal Yisrael is growing, and every region is growing, and so we have to grow with it. And it's challenging. And we're people here. Maybe it's my personality is that we're never happy with ourselves. We try to make other people happy. We're not happy with ourselves. In other words, that we constantly keep on reviewing and seeing where we can do better. And we have, because it worked in 2001. Does not mean it's going to work in 2023.
100%.
It's different. The parents are different. Everything is different. So they constantly keep on being mechadesh and doing different things, and that's why we're fresh. That's why Chai Lifeline is what Chai Lifeline is.
Did Rabbi Scholar ever think that Chai Lifeline is going to be what it is today?
Rabbi Scholar was thinking only about helping the Jew today. And have the second Jew tomorrow and the third Jew tomorrow. No matter who that Jew is. If the Jew has payas, if the Jew has a ponytail.
Right.
The difference between us and a lot of other organizations is two major differences. This is who we are, and this is who we're not. It does not mean that someone that's a Zaidi or a Bubby that gets ill does not need a Chai Lifeline type of service, right? But Chai Lifeline is not doing it. We're not a supermarket. This is what we're doing. And that's number one. We're not a big chaylim. We're a professional organization with a very specific agenda. And number two is we believe in every Jew. Every
Right.
Jew is
Wow.
the only priority is in the need. That's how the Shlomo Zalman Auerbach instructed us to do. That's what the Feinstein told us to do, and that's how we run this place. So it's not Heimish, it's not Yeshivish, it's not modern, it's not this, it's not that. It's a Jew. A Jew needs help. Chai Lifeline is there.
Wow.
You're not doing shluchim with your cousin.
How can we find out more about Chai Lifeline?
Well, I think they should email us at chailifeline.org. Go into go on the website, give us a call 212-465-1300, and we're here to help you anywhere you are throughout the world. It's our privilege to be with you in your situation.
Wow. Rabbi Scholar, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and coming on. It was a really great pleasure interviewing you, and
My pleasure.
and
It's a pleasure to be here, to be here with you. And
it really like it inspired me, and you're doing cloud work, and you're changing the call, and that's amazing.
Have a great day.
You too.
Take care.
Take care.